this attention online. So this is a time when people still kind of had to go outside to meet people. Now, of course, you can still meet people online in '05, and it was definitely popular to do so, but people still largely met outside of the internet. We're going to take a look at Rotten Tomatoes. So we're basically taking a look at how the show was received. Looks like they give them a 84 on the tomato meter and 84 on the audience score. So the average audience score kind of lines up with the tomato meter. Looks like the audience score and the average tomato meter line right up. And I would say that, yes, the show is overall received well. Most people like the show. There are a few criticisms that we'll get into, but as you'll see, those criticisms, they stem from part of some of the breakdowns we're going to be doing today. I want to take a deep look at the first comment, because this is one that we're going to see a lot, and it goes into a point I want to make later. And so it says, a wonderful show with a bad ending. This person gave it a 9 out of 10. They obviously liked the show, but they didn't like the end. They're going to say that's a common criticism. 8 out of 10, really funny. Says it will, How I Met Your Mother will go down as one of the better comedies of all time, and rightfully so, but there's no doubt as to who the best part of the show, and that's Neil Patrick Harris. He steals every scene that he's in, and it's funny. The first season isn't as good. Also, as most have already said, it has one of the worst finales to a show in television, in history of television. If for some reason you're one of the people who haven't seen this yet, I highly recommend you do so. So again, this person, just like the previous, gave it also a high score, said it was really funny, but if you paid attention, you would have actually noticed something that kind of gave it away that I'm going to talk about, of why a lot of people have this criticism with the show. And that is, the first season isn't as good, so you may have to power through it. I'm just going to go on a little rant here, right? A lot of people started watching the show after the first few seasons. It did have a small cult following at first, which is why I was able to keep going with the seasons, but later on, more people got interested in the show, and that's the criticism I feel comes a lot from those people who aren't true fans of the show. Because I watched the show from day one. Very first episode, I waited for it. Actually, I remember this episode coming out. I waited to watch this episode for weeks, months maybe, and yeah, I was not disappointed. I loved the show from beginning to end. The show gave me everything I expected, nothing more, nothing less. And so that's my issue, was like, some people, this show got popular because of the shows. You know, people like to jump on the bandwagon of things. Oh, this is popular? Oh, now everybody's watching this. I need to watch it. A lot of people are more sheep than they like to admit. And I don't watch shows just because it's popular. Somebody says, hey man, you check out this new show, it's really hot. I watch shows that are interesting to me and that I am interested in watching, so it's on my own time. But yeah, they still give it very good reviews though. Why is that? Alright, here's another 8 out of 10, one of the more original and funny sitcoms I've been watching. After all, it was bad, it would not last for almost If it was bad, it would not last for almost a decade. I've heard they spoiled it near the end, but after 5 seasons, I have absolutely no objections. So again, as I said, you know, it's the end. This person didn't seem that they even watched it. Does this sound like fans of the show? One didn't even watch it until it had came out, probably maybe a year or two. And I get sometimes that happens, and I'm not holding that against them. Then they make the same objection as people that didn't watch it at first or haven't even finished it. Like this guy here, 9 out of 10 will be remembered for its wit charm, one-liners, slaps, and the bro code, not for its bad ending. So even this person is saying that they're giving it a compliment by saying it's going to be remembered for all the good things about it rather than the bad ending, but they also think it's a bad ending. And that could be true. That could be true of somebody that's watched the show from the very beginning and just was like, yeah, I didn't like the ending. But I would argue that if you watch it from the beginning and you watch it, you're an avid watcher, you're going to watch it to the end. And you're going to, for the most part, be satisfied with the end because you're invested that much. And the name of the show is How I Met Your Mother. We're not lost as to how the story plays out. You shouldn't be. So a lot of, as you can see, the critics, they're giving it a very good score. I would say on average, How I Met Your Mother gets like a 9 out of, or 8.5 out of 10. They're basically going to go over 10 ways of How I Met Your Mother has aged poorly. Now, there's a caveat to this. Most of the objections, and I pulled up two different ones. Most of the objections are going to have to do with one or two things. One, the ending, as we've already showed, and two, have to do with what a lot of people, as you saw from the previous comments, consider the most crucial part of the show, the most pertinent part of the show, which is Barney, his jokes, the one-liners. This is what I mean. They're going to criticize show that most people like for the character Barney and his views, right? So most of the criticism is going to be tied around Barney's character and how he actually, does things. Another criticism you might hear is one that has to do with Ted being not such a good guy. I only agree partially with that statement. Mostly it has less to do with Ted and more to do with the term good guy. I just don't want to get into that part right now, but I don't like the term good guy. I think that people are just people with their own self-interest. So there's no difference between a good guy and a bad guy, because then we have to get into the definition of good and bad, and what's good, what's bad. So again, those are the three: either the show's ending, the character Barney and the way he is portrayed on the show, and Ted. Alright, so again, this goes to Barney, first one. These people can't even spell. So I'm assuming they meant to say way too many misogynistic jokes that revolve around naive women. So again, one of the criticisms of the show, and this is why How I Met Your Father will never, ever even sniff a fraction of the success that How I Met Your Mother was able to attain, because they're too old. Yes, some of the women are portrayed as really stupid, but let's be honest, we know a lot of stupid people, like men and women. So I'd say this is based in reality. The women are made to be to look and be that naive, because that's the way the director wants to portray it. Remember the woman, right? The woman director that directed 196 out of 208 episodes. That's the way she wants to portray them. Why? Because if Barney is able to sleep with them, these girls have to be stupid. They have to be naive. This is a way that women actually denigrate other women, but they'll say that it's the man. One of How I Met Your Mother's favorite jokes is introducing naive or childish female characters to make fun of them later. For example, most of Barney's girlfriends are so-called bimbos, and most of the characters make fun of them because they don't respect themselves or because they're too dumb.